Okay, so this is still a part of what I was making for Tania at Tattytreasure's, and she was hosting I guess hosting a collaboration that was using a whole book, an entire book. And I shared some photos, I think I shared some photos of the different book pages and ephemera that I made. Not book pages, but pockets and stuff that I made from book pages. And then I had this bag of bits and pieces left. And I didn't want to waste anything. I tried to use everything. I think there was one piece of the book that I could not use, and it was just the glue strip. And I even tried to peel the, what is it? It's like burlap. It's not burlap, but it's kind of that looking thing. I tried to peel it off and I couldn't get it off, so I was not able to reuse that. But all of the little bits and pieces, I cut into smaller bits and pieces, and then I have soaked them for several days in a bowl. You've seen pictures of that just now, with some of my paint water, and it had watercolor water and a little bit of acrylic paint water in it. Soaked it for several days, and then I laid it, onto this paper towel that I had folded up in such a way that it would fit inside of this embossing folder. And I squeezed it, I have let it set for just a little bit. I didn't want to let it set too long because this isn't the final look that I'm hoping for, but I don't really know what I'm gonna get. This is just the thought that I had. I am going to sandwich this inside the paper towel the first time and see what happens, and put it through my embossing folder. I did get the new set of embossing plates from Spellbinders, and it actually has the sandwiches all on here, and each of them has a number except for this one, which wasn't a part of it because it's my metallic plate. So I'll just take that out, but you can see that I have not got them in order. All right, here's C. C comes after B. Where's D? That's E, so D, E. I didn't put them up again properly. All right, so you've got, all of these plates, all of these sandwiches, but sometimes you need to make adjustments anyway, especially if you're doing something like this that's going to be a lot bulkier than what you usually work with. So I'm going to have to, whoops, I turned off my light when I tossed the paper towels. I'm going to have to finagle a little bit to figure out which plate is going to work to compress that. I do know this is going to be the base. Let's see. How to build a 3D embossing folder. This is 3D, so we'll start with that, and we've got the platform base, and then it wants the embossing folder with the paper inside, and so we're just going to make sure that all of that, I don't even know what you would call it. It's not paper mache, but it's kind of similar, I think. I'm just going to center that in there. And you put this down, and then what goes on top is the D adapter plate. We'll see if D goes through. If D doesn't go through, then that's when I need to make adjustments. So, and if you're having trouble getting it through, then it's too thick, and don't keep trying because you'll break your gears and stuff. So let's go a little thinner. Let's see, what's the next thinnest one after D? We'll just do this. We'll look at it sideways. And after D, the next thinnest is a C. Let's try the C. And C doesn't stand for clear, it just happens to be clear. At least I don't think it does. Nope, that's still a little too thick. So B was the next, I believe. Let's see what happens with it. And that one goes through. Yeah, that goes through well. Now where it's a little thicker, it's a little harder to get through, but, and I'm gonna do this a couple of times just to make sure that I've got it going well. And it gets easier to do it each time I push it through because it is compressing all those paper pieces that are inside the sandwich. Oops, sorry. All right, let's see what we've got. And it got a crinkle. This is the first time I have ever used this. So, and it's wet. Of course. There's gonna be a lot of wetness. I'll get a paper towel out here, get it ready, because I've got to, yep, obviously wipe off my plate here. Get that out of the way. And let's see what we've got. Well, the paper towel looks pretty cool. We may end up saving the paper towel anyway. Ooh, I like that. Did compress the paper towel into the print, or into the paper pulp? Yes, I think that's the right word. Just a bit. Now I'm going to get another dry paper towel. I'm gonna have a whole lot of dyed paper towels to use in other projects, aren't I? All right, so let's get this out of the way. I'm gonna dry it off. And this is a Tim Holtz Sizzix, and I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called letterpress, maybe. Typewriter, I can read it, typewriter. Actually wrote it on that one. I should do that more often. All right, so I am going to dab at the back of this and see if I can push it onto the other paper towel without taking away the, whoops. I see some of it's gonna come off. But I'm kind of looking for that worn look anyway. I didn't choose the blue on purpose. It just happened to be the color of the water that I had at hand. On hand? I don't know. You can tell, has anybody else ever noticed when you've been listening to particular YouTubers a lot that you start picking up some of their speech habits? I use words that I have hardly ever used in my life. All right, I'm going to fold this in half because this is going to be our drying towel. I'm not going to press it onto that towel. I'm just going to lay it on there. All right, and this is the top side. I don't know if you can see the indentations on there very well. I can see them, and I'll be able to see them even better after I finish what I have planned for this. But for now, I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. All right, so we are on to the next step. It's been a few more days, not so much for it drying, although that did take a little bit, but I've been busy doing other things as well. And I apologize, you are going to occasionally maybe hear a beep in the background. We have lost our internet sometime yesterday afternoon, and our, the ADT home security system is letting me know that it doesn't have internet. And it's kind of like the smoke detectors and stuff that let you know when the battery's going dead. It's just often enough to be obnoxious. Okay, so but we're gonna plow ahead with this. So this is completely dry. You can see, I hope, the embossed letters on there. Here is the back of it. And I'm going to try something. I don't know if it'll work, but I didn't know if any of this was gonna work. So let's just find out if it's gonna work. I have my Versamark watermark ink stamp. Bleh. I have my Versamark watermark stamp pad. There we go. And I am just going to lightly, because this is very bumpy and so I don't know which parts are going to get the ink and which parts are not. So it will be a surprise when it happens. But I do know that I want at the very least, I want the raised parts to get the embossing. So there we go with that. And I'm going to place this in my little tray that has the nozzle on it so I can pour the embossing powder back into the jar. Here is my box of embossing powders. This is part of my organization. I will share how I do this at some point in the future. And I think I want a color on there. I don't have a lot of colors. And you know, I don't even have to keep these in this bag anymore. When I didn't have as many things for embossing, it all fit perfectly in this little bag. Ooh, that might be it. I don't think I want to go with the purple. I don't have a wide variety. I do have some, but most of them seem to be whites and clears and tans. And this is espresso. This is Dusty Concord. I think that was a freebie with an order, because I'm pretty sure I would not have ordered purple embossing powder, because I have purple ink and I would just use the clear embossing powder over top of it. All right. So I am going to use this Stampendous Shabby Blue Embossing Enamel. And I've used this before and I really liked the way it turned out. I'm going to shake it up just to make sure that it's got different particles in there. You can see, let me take the lid off, you can probably see it better. It's got all these different little particles with blue sparkles. Let's see, let's get to, there we go. That looks kind of weird. It's got blue sparkles and white chunks and some brown chunks, little tiny pieces of really dark blue or possibly even black. It looks really cool when it gets heat set. So we're just going to go ahead and now I've got people honking outside. It's a very nice day, so I've got my windows open, because you don't get very many of those days in November, at least not here in Indiana. I'll put the lid on that for right now, just so I don't knock it over. And I'm going to carefully pick this up, carefully knock off the excess. It looks like I'm going to have a lot. I wasn't as careful with my stamping, or it just is the nature of this handmade paper piece that it's going to collect a lot. All right, so I'm going to set this to the side and set this to the side, and I will pour that into my jar in just a bit. And now I need to heat set this. And when you heat set embossing powder, I can't remember who this tip was from, but if you start with your tool on the back side of whatever you're doing, it will allow the embossing powder to grab onto your project instead of melting from the top down, where you could still lose some of it. If you melt from the bottom first, it gives it some grab, and then you can go to the top and it will join the two parts together, the bottom and the top, and meld them into one embossed piece. And now I will go to the top part. It's getting a little warm on my fingers, and I always forget I have this little holder thing from Tim Holtz. It doesn't work for everything. It kind of needs to be something flattish that you can squeeze. And sometimes my squeezing doesn't want to work with this hand or with this hand. All right, I'm gonna let that cool now for just a bit, and I am going to use another fun little thing, a little gadget that I found at the Target, what's it called? Spots Playground, I think. I love this. It is so fun, and it cleans up really well. Obviously, it's not going to suck up my paint drops that are over here, but for $5, it does a surprisingly good job. Well, I say that, and then I've got this really fine glitter that nothing in the world seems to pick up. I have been told that Swiffer dusters will pick up the glitter. So I may have to go pull one out and just see how it works. Because the glitter is not so much going up, but the bigger stuff is. And it's just cute. And now it's glittery, which makes it even cuter. So I kind of like it like that. But I think that I want my letters to show up just a little bit more. So I am going to, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to get an ink pad and a paintbrush and just kind of dry brush over the tops of the letters just to bring them out a little bit more. I'm going to use some of the Distress Oxide Ground Espresso. And I think that I got this in a set of makeup brushes at Five Below. I have a whole set of them, and they're sparkly and they're peachy pink orange, and so I had to have them. So let's see. I'm just going to kind of hit the tops of those letters just slightly. I just want to bring them out a little bit. I don't want to be too heavy-handed here. Probably need to go from multiple directions. I am on top of embossing powder. And I want it to look distressed. I mean, goodness gracious, this is one distressed book. So, or book page, I guess it is. It's not a book anymore, is it? And so I'm just going to come across here. Getting some glitter on my ink pad. Oh well, it'll be fine. If you're in my studio, you're likely to get glitter on you. I like the way that this is knocking back some of the I don't even know what word I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go lightly over all of it. Just a little bit. Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. So now I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with this. But right now I think it's a beautiful piece. I'm really happy with it. And I didn't waste any of the book pages from the One Whole Book Challenge that was hosted by Tania at Tattytreasure, and I'll link that video series below. I had a lot of fun. I've used a few of these things. I haven't used all of them. I haven't adapted all of them yet, but I've used a few of them. And I may go through and some of them show you how I made the folds. But for today and for this video, this is it. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to put it on something else so that you can actually see a little bit better with some contrast. Ooh, that looks really good. Okay. I love it. So there we go. Thank you for joining me today. And as always, be kind. Bye.